Stop scrolling. What if I told you that Donald Trump is about to shake up immigration like never before? Green cards, visas, and the US border could be completely transformed in 2026. Millions of lives are on the line, and the rules you thought you knew might no longer apply. Stick around, because what comes next could change everything for families, workers, and students trying to enter the United States. So, what exactly is this big strategy all about, and why should everyone pay attention? First, let's talk about green cards. For decades, the green card system has been a slow-moving, heavily bureaucratic process. Many applicants wait years, sometimes decades, for approval. But insiders suggest that Trump's team is considering aggressive measures to restrict green card allocations, prioritizing highly skilled workers and potentially slashing the number of family-based green cards. Imagine that families waiting for years suddenly being forced to re-evaluate their plans, and professionals in certain industries possibly getting fast-tracked if they meet specific criteria. The ripple effect of this move could be enormous. For one, industries like tech, healthcare, and engineering, which heavily rely on foreign talent, might face a talent shortage unless the administration balances the restrictions with skill-based incentives. On the other hand, tightening green card issuance could be a huge win for American-born workers, at least according to supporters of this approach. It's a classic tension between economic growth and nationalistic policy priorities, and it's about to take center stage in 2026. Visas are another cornerstone of this emerging strategy. Reports indicate that temporary visas, including H-1Bs, student visas, and work permits, may see stricter vetting procedures. This could mean more interviews, more background checks, and possibly higher scrutiny of educational and professional credentials. While some argue this ensures that only the most qualified candidates are allowed entry, critics warn that it could stifle innovation and make the U.S. less competitive globally. For students, in particular, this could drastically change the pipeline of international talent in American universities. Imagine studying in the U.S. only to face unexpected hurdles or even denial because of tighter visa regulations. That's exactly the kind of scenario insiders are now warning about. And we cannot talk about Trump's strategy without mentioning the border. Border security has always been a lightning rod in American politics, but according to leaks, the plan for 2026 might take enforcement to a whole new level. This could include expanded border wall construction, increased deployment of personnel, and the use of advanced surveillance technology to monitor crossings. Think drones, AI-driven monitoring, and real-time tracking systems. The goal? To reduce unauthorized immigration to historic lows. Supporters argue this will protect American jobs and national security, while opponents see it as an extreme measure that could strain international relations and create humanitarian challenges. The political implications of this strategy are just as intense as the logistical ones. By reshaping green cards, visas, and border enforcement, Trump could energize his base, positioning himself as the candidate who took control of immigration. This messaging resonates strongly with voters who prioritize national security and economic protectionism. But at the same time, it risks alienating moderate voters and immigrant communities, who may view these moves as draconian or unfair. In other words, it's a high-stakes gamble that could define the political landscape for years to come. One of the most controversial aspects of this emerging plan is how it might affect asylum seekers. Sources indicate that new measures could include accelerated deportations for certain categories, stricter eligibility criteria, and more limited legal pathways for asylum. For vulnerable populations fleeing violence or persecution, this could be life-altering. Critics argue that such measures may violate international humanitarian principles, while proponents insist that it's necessary to maintain law and order at the border. Either way, this is not a subtle tweak, this is a major overhaul of the U.S. immigration framework. Another dimension worth discussing is the potential impact on the economy. Immigration drives innovation, entrepreneurship, and labor force growth. Restricting green cards and visas could slow these engines. On the flip side, prioritizing high-skilled workers could boost certain sectors while creating bottlenecks in others. Think about healthcare. For instance, hospitals in rural areas already struggle with staffing. Any sudden restriction on foreign-trained doctors and nurses could exacerbate shortages. This is why economists are paying close attention to Trump's 2026 strategy, as the balance between restriction and targeted allowance will determine whether this approach strengthens or weakens the U.S. economy. Technology also plays a central role in this plan. Advanced monitoring systems at borders, AI-based visa screening, and digital verification processes could make immigration enforcement faster and more efficient. But with efficiency comes controversy. Civil liberties advocates are raising alarms about privacy concerns, data security, and the potential for systemic bias in AI-driven decision-making. Imagine having your visa application reviewed by an algorithm that may not fully account for human context. This could lead to mistakes and denials that have profound consequences. It's a classic dilemma between security, efficiency, and fairness, and it's about to be tested on a national scale. The media reaction to these leaks has been explosive. News outlets, social media platforms, and political commentators are all weighing in, often with sharply divided opinions. Some describe this as the most ambitious immigration overhaul in decades, while others warn that it could create chaos, legal battles, and humanitarian crises. What is clear, however, is that the announcement alone has already shaped public discourse, influencing debates in Congress, campaign messaging, and voter sentiment. Whether or not the full plan comes to fruition, Trump's approach is forcing the nation to confront complex questions about borders, labor, and human rights. Let's also consider the international ramifications. Countries that traditionally send large numbers of immigrants to the U.S. could face stricter quotas or even punitive measures if their citizens are disproportionately affected. Trade negotiations, diplomatic relations, and international student flows could all be impacted. Nations may need to rethink their strategies for sending talent, investing in U.S. bound students, or even partnering with other countries to provide alternative opportunities. This is a global story, not just a domestic one, and the ripple effects could last well beyond 2026. So what does all of this mean for everyday people? For immigrants currently in the U.S., it could mean heightened uncertainty about their status, longer waits for green cards, or increased scrutiny during visa renewals. For U.S. citizens, the effects might be felt in job markets, university campuses, and even in local communities that rely heavily on immigrant labor. And for policymakers, it's a reminder that immigration policy is never just a bureaucratic process. It's deeply tied to economics, security, ethics, and politics. Ultimately, Trump's 2026 immigration strategy appears to be a multi-layered approach aimed at asserting control, appealing to key voter bases, and fundamentally reshaping how the U.S. handles entry and residency. It combines border security, visa restrictions, green card prioritization, and technological enforcement into a single, cohesive but controversial plan. Whether it will succeed, backfire, or face significant legal challenges remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the country is bracing for a debate that could redefine immigration for a generation. So, if you have family, friends, or colleagues who are planning to live, work, or study in the U.S., it's more important than ever to stay informed. Policy shifts like these can happen quickly, and being aware of the latest developments can help people plan and adapt. Whether you agree or disagree with Trump's approach, understanding the potential consequences and the reasoning behind them is crucial. In the coming months, expect more leaks, statements, and analyses. Experts will dissect the plan line by line, and political commentators will debate its merits endlessly. Immigration law firms, universities, and multinational corporations are already preparing for scenarios where these changes take effect. The stage is set for one of the most consequential policy announcements in recent memory, and it will likely dominate headlines as we approach the 2026 election cycle. This is more than just a story about borders, green cards, or visas. It's a story about the future of the United States and who gets to shape it. Millions of lives are intertwined with these decisions, and the stakes could not be higher. Stay tuned, stay informed, and be ready to navigate the changes that may come.